All right. Welcome, everyone, to episode number 504 of Goats in the Barnyard. I'm Ryan Tofil. That's Bryan Chai.
Hello.
You may notice that I'm wearing glasses. I've not worn glasses, at least on this show, before. And you wear glasses.
All the time. I hate contacts.
He hates contacts. I could never get contacts in. That's why when I needed some sort of goggles, I opted for glasses because my eyes are just too sensitive. Excuse me. I was drinking a little ginger ale, and I got a little air bubble going there. If you would like me to drink your brand of ginger ale on the show, just tweet at the show or you, me, and BTC. And we'll tell you where to send the ginger ale. Okay, you send me a lifetime supply of ginger ale, and every podcast I do from now on, I'll be drinking your ginger ale on the show. Boy, that could come back. Like, if I get super famous or something, and you know I'm on ESPN, and these people don't even have to pay me to drink their ginger ale,
you'd be missing out.
Yeah. I see. So this is a terrible deal for me. Great deal for you. But I'm getting a little burp in my tummy. So I'm wearing glasses, right? And like I go to the eye doctor because I've been having brutal headaches where I'm not having any fun at work because, you know, I've got a headache 3 hours into my shift, and by the afternoon it's brutal. Excuse me, ginger ale. And so I'm getting my glasses picked out and everything, and they just kept trying to upsell me, like way out of what my insurance would ever be willing to pay for. And I just kept telling them, like, no, like, I've never had glasses before. I don't know if you actually need all of this stuff. Like, do I need reflective yada yada, and do I need protective coating, and you know, do I need super wide range progressive whatever? And like, they're just telling me all of these things that, like, even after my insurance kicks in, I'm still going to be paying like $80 a piece for. Yep. And because when I originally went in there, I thought that my insurance covered 100% of lenses, which is what it said it did. And so she originally was like, okay, so that'll be like $300 to you. And I'm like, hang on. We've established that the frames I picked out were completely covered. So I had to backtrack on all these things that she just sold me on without telling me what the price of them were going to be. And so I eventually ended up paying $20 for my glasses, and I don't know if my headaches have improved or not, but I couldn't get like progressive, which means, you know, being able to see far away and close with the same pair of glasses. So I'm like, okay, I'll just go to Dollar General or Dollar Tree and get a $1 pair of reading glasses, and I'll switch them out with these distance ones that I'm wearing. Mm-hmm. And so I realized that the Dollar Tree reading ones, things have got to be like within 8 inches of you to the point where like it hurts me to look at the computer screen. And so I went online, Zenny Optical. Hey, Zenny Optical, if you guys want to send me free glasses, I promise you I will wear them on every podcast I do from now on. By the end of this, I'm just going to be like fully decked out in like a huge jacket and stuff that I'm obligated to wear, and sunglasses. I've got like gold teeth done by some dentist, or
You're going to make us take it out on posters and put up Zenny Optical posters.
Hey, somebody wants to send us a poster, we will put it up. We don't discriminate. I got this one for free from a gas station. So that's some advertising for a monster truck. A monster truck. And then this one a friend gave me. Anyways, so I was just thinking about how much they were trying to upsell me. Mm-hmm. And how I felt like they were being a little dishonest because they didn't bring it up at first.
They just rang it up at the end.
And didn't expect me to back them down from it. You know, and I understand it's a business, and they're probably hoping that I think that most of it's charged to the insurance anyways. So for every 80 they're charging me, they're probably getting my insurance for about 250.
Probably.
So, you know, that's how they make their money. But it got me thinking about times when I have just really been screwed over by businesses, and I got upset about it, and I decided that it's time for the world to know what businesses gave me a super hard time. And these circumstances, just air out your grievances, Brian. When has this happened to you? Like, what company just really screwed you over, whether it was with price or customer service, and you know, just did something for a quick buck?
The most costly one for me recently is actually the car that I have, which I own, which I've paid off. But man, when I got that thing, it's a Ford Fiesta, and if you Googled 2013 Ford Fiesta, you're going to see all sorts of nightmare stories about just transmission problems, all sorts of stuff, and I absolutely had that issue. It's an absolute nightmare. It really soured me on buying Ford ever again, even though I know, from everything I've read, their trucks are great, and I'm looking to get a truck. But man, that one Ford car was just the worst experience ever. Horrendous experience.
Just the buying process, or it's given you mechanical problems?
Mechanical problems. The buying process was also a bit of a pain. I mean, obviously, car salesmen will always upsell you. I mean, that's to be expected. Yeah. But I mean, even aside from that, that I can deal with, that I can understand. But man, just having to go in. I remember one time I went in because my check engine light was on. Waited there for a couple hours. They say they fixed it. I drive out of the lot. And I lived kind of far from that particular mechanic. It was covered if I went back to that particular dealership.
Yeah.
And I drove home, which is in LA, and the mechanic was in Orange County. And, literally as soon as I got home, right as I was about to pull in my drive, my check engine light turns back on again.
Yeah.
You gotta be freaking kidding me.
Yeah. Boy, there was this, car place. It was Monroe. I don't know, how affiliated with Monroe it was, if it was like owned by Monroe or some guy had just bought part of the franchise or whatever. Mm-hmm. But in Fredonia, New York, that Monroe, I was a poor college student, and I went in for an oil change that I had a coupon for because I donated blood at my college, and they gave me a coupon for a $13 oil change. And those are the things that you have to do when you're in college if you want to keep your car running. You got to give away your blood to make sure you can afford an oil change. So I go in there, with and I have a $13 oil change card, but I didn't give it to him at the time. I just told them I wanted their standard oil change, and then I'm thinking in my head, okay, like, so they don't do an intentionally shoddy job to make sure they're not losing money, like maybe with the coupon or something, they would like skip the oil filter, or they would only put in, 3 quarts instead of 5 or something, because I can't imagine there's a huge profit margin on a $13 oil change.
Yeah.
So, when I went back in to pick up my car, this guy was furious that I hadn't presented this coupon when I dropped it off. And I would imagine that my hunch was correct, that they did too good of a job for something they're only making $13 on. And he gave me a bill for something that was like $230.
For what?
Man, I don't remember. We're pushing 8 years ago, probably now.
Fair enough.
6 or 8 years ago. And he was just telling me, you need to get this done, or like your car is just going to fall apart on the road. Yada, yada. Like once this thing, some drive shaft nonsense or something, like once it cracks, dude, like you are done, and you're going to be going 60 and just die, and boom. And I was like, no. Okay. I couldn't afford it. I was in college. I didn't have a choice. And I just told him no, like I'm not, and he was super upset, and he made it sound like they had already done it, so like I owe him, and I was trying to like rob him or something, and he's already pissed off about my $13 oil change, but I didn't pay them. I paid them $13, and I left, and that car never fell apart. I drove for, I don't know, 5 more years after that, and I never died. So Monroe and Fredonia, I know you're just trying to pull one over on me. I've never gone anywhere, or I've never gone back there since, even though I live 2,500 miles away now. But I tell people about that whenever they're looking for somewhere to get their car fixed. And same with you. Buying a car, man. I recently, well, not recently, a couple years ago, I bought a 2015 Camry from Findlay Toyota in Flagstaff, Arizona. And, yeah, you didn't specifically say like where the dealership was that screwed you. I guess yours was just Ford in general.
I can't see. Yeah, Ford. Whoa. It was Ford in Orange County. It's a
don't go to Ford in Orange County, everyone. But Findlay Toyota in Flagstaff, Arizona. Go ahead, give them a call and just prank call them. Ask them if their refrigerator's running, because those guys, dude. So I went in there and I bought this 2015 Camry. And it was a used car. It had like 8,000 miles on it, but they sold me this like $2,000 warranty with the promise that I could cancel it within 30 days for 100% of my money back. So I figured, okay, I'll take it. If anything happens to my car within 30 days, you know, if my transmission just falls out, you know, this warranty covers it 100%. And on the 29th day, if I haven't used it, I'll call and cancel it, get my $2,000 back. So I call, I cancel it. Maybe like 6 months later, I'm looking at my car bill, you know, how much I have left on my loan, and I realize that they never took it off. So I called Findlay Toyota, and they said, nah, dude, we sent it over. That is Toyota Financial Services problem. So I had to do phone tag between Findlay Toyota and Toyota Financial Services. And it was basically just like my word again. Like Toyota Financial Services said they never got it, and Findlay Toyota says they sent it. It's out of their hands. So like those guys both have their money. Yeah. You know what I mean? They aren't going to take the time to call each other to make sure that Ryan Tofil gets his $2,000 back. And they're not going to waste their time on that. So, I'm calling them back. I finally get refunded. And then they only refund me like $1,300 because they're saying that I've been using the warranty for that long. So I'm like, no. Plus, they took a $75 convenience fee out of it when I was promised 100% of it back. Findlay Toyota in Flagstaff, Arizona, this one blonde guy with arm tattoos who brags about driving his car 100 or 120 from Flagstaff to Phoenix. If you ever see that man out on the street, tell him that he is a liar and he is a thief. And that Ryan Tofil does not like him very much because he cost me a decent amount of money. So I eventually ended up somehow getting that figured out where I ended up getting what was it was only like a few $100s short of the full refund I felt I was supposed to get. But I had paid interest on that $2,000 this entire time that I was never supposed to be paying interest on because that $2,000 was supposed to be taken off of my bill. You know, so if I owe them $18,000, I'm paying more interest per month than if I owe them $16,000.
Yeah, obviously.
And so I'm trying to explain that to them, and they said one like I would just get different answers every time I called. One is like, no, that's not how the interest works. Like, they didn't understand how the math of their own loan broke down. Toyota Financial Services, I was in a car wreck one time, and honestly, a Toyota, I don't know if maybe the same thing would have happened in another car, but that accident was so bad that I very easily could have died, and I was in a Toyota Camry at the time, and so I felt loyal to Toyota, and that's why I went to them to buy my next car, or a couple cars later. And honestly, they treated me so bad on the phone that I don't care if I survived like a near-death experience. I'm probably not going to buy a Toyota again. Because then they cheated me out of that money where they collected extra interest on money that shouldn't have been on my bill. You know, and honestly, I probably would have bought Toyotas the rest of my life, and they would have made a lot more than that $2,000 from me.
Yeah.
But they treated me so poorly that, you know, it's going to go to Mazda, which everyone who has Mazdas, I've never heard them complain about. They seem to like it. That seems to be...
My family's kind of gotten into Hyundais, however you pronounce it. Those cars are pretty good. But yeah, kind of, you know, going off of the car thing, another thing that really just sucked having to deal with was when I left California and came to Arizona, I got, you know, the thing in the mail for, you know, and, you know, they sent it to me on my Arizona address, and they still freaking sent me a car registration renewal thing. And I was like, you know, whatever. Like, instructions on it were pretty clear. If you don't live in the state, say you don't live in the state, and just mail it back. I did exactly that.
Okay.
And I thought I was done. I mean, that's what the freaking form says. You know, a few months later, I get a thing saying, like, my registration is way overdue, and they could, like, repo my car. You know, just, like, nonsense like that.
Yeah.
And so I call them, and they just give me the end around. I have to print out these forms I've never heard of. I have to snail mail it to them, so I don't know how long it's going to take. And I do exactly what they say. Right. Doesn't fix anything. They say I still have an outstanding balance for my car registration renewal. You know, and then I did it a second time, you know, snail mail again. I was like, oh, you know, maybe something went wrong. It happens. Sent a second time again, same nonsense. And eventually, you know, I'm a pretty laid back guy, but eventually they just ticked me off, and I went off, and they eventually redirected me. They gave me a number like, hey, call this number. You know, it's like the DMV headquarters, or like one of the branch that's in charge of registration or whatever. I do that, and you know, at this point, I'm pissed.
I know the feeling.
And you know, fortunately, the woman on that end was super nice, super helpful, and she friggin' fixed everything over the phone. I didn't have to mail anything. I didn't have to do anything. I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, I could have just gotten this number from the get go." Instead, no, I wasted money on, you know, I mean, it's minuscule compared to your issue with a couple $1,000s, but you know, postage, printing, you know, all that stuff. And I did it twice, and it just ticked me off having to deal with that.
The most similar experience I've had to that, where like they fixed it in an instant, depending on who you talk to, was CenturyLink. So CenturyLink Internet, you guys suck. Every internet provider does this, though, I understand, is they would just add random stuff to my bill. Oh, you've got this charge this month, and some charge, you know, what did they try to say? A service fee mandate or something, which your internet probably has too. But I called them and I was like, dude, like, I'm just so upset at being charged over what you guys are advertising. And they tried to trick me into thinking that this like, the definition of mandate is like government imposed.
Yes.
So they put it into the title of their fee so that I would think, oh, it's the government, nothing I can do about it. And it wasn't. It was CenturyLink just named some bogus bullcrap charge. Something mandate, so I hopefully wouldn't question it. But like just some overage charge, or like I don't know how many different times I opened up that CenturyLink bill, and there like the amount was different than it had been, and there was something I didn't really understand on it, and I would have to call, and nobody would be able to do anything about it, or like, oh, okay, maybe we can send out a service representative or something like that, only $80 between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. on a work day. Make sure you're there, like. and then you finally get to like their retention team, they call it, who all of a sudden has the ability to fix this stuff. Yeah, we'll take care of that on your bill. I'll give you a credit for your future bills and stuff, but they don't want you to get there. Like, and eventually now, whenever I call CenturyLink, I would just skip right to, I want to cancel, get me to those guys. Luckily, my new living situation, my roommate handles all the bills, so maybe I'm getting screwed and it's just being split 4 ways and I'm paying some of it, but I don't have to deal with the hassle of it, so that's fine.
I will say I've been very fortunate with my cable company since I moved out to Arizona. No issues, like there's no like sudden spikes in the charges. The one time the price raise, I knew it was going to happen because I knew I was buying like a 2-year bundle. After 1 year, it was going to go up like $20. Like, I knew that was going to happen.
Well, so we've been telling all these people, don't go to Monroe Brake in Fredonia, New York. Do go to Findlay Toyota. Don't go to Findlay Toyota in Flagstaff. Don't get CenturyLink cable, and don't get a loan through Toyota Financial. If you are going to buy a Toyota, go to the bank or something and get your money there, and then pay for your car in cash and deal with your bank for the loan. Who is this cable company that's treating you so well? Why don't we give them the credit?
Well, that's the funny part is, from what I've read, they get some pretty bad reviews, but it's Cox Cable.
All right.
But yeah, I've had no issues. My internet's been great. Anytime there's been an issue, I remember one time my dog dug up the internet cable in my backyard and chewed right through it. And Cox was there like within 2 days. They fixed everything. It was covered because I bought the insurance or whatever, so it was covered with that. Just real good. Like, yeah, they've treated me well. I have zero complaints about Cox thus far.
Another digital media one for me was PlayStation 4. Sony, I am still out the freaking $60 from FIFA 17, I want to say. FIFA 17 because somebody hacked my account.
Oh.
And they were able to actually call Sony as me, get them to refund the money that I had paid for FIFA 17, and then they made an alternate account under my PlayStation ID and re-downloaded FIFA 17 to that. And it took me forever to even get my PlayStation back assigned to my primary ID, and they gave me the run around like crazy. And it absolutely baffles me how my primary PlayStation ever got set to a PlayStation in Europe, and they were able to download FIFA 17 with my my account because they had refunded my purchase of the game, and then I couldn't play it under my account. So it was almost had to be an inside job, dude, because this scammer was able to do that so easily, get a hold of my account just by calling and saying, "Hey, my PlayStation ID is Rytoff. I don't remember the password. Also, I don't remember purchasing this game. Please refund it." They told me, they're like, "Oh, don't you remember when you called and said that your kid had accidentally bought FIFA 17? And we refund." I was like, "No, I didn't do that." And at the same time, my PlayStation 4 was allowed to be changed to Europe. And so they're like I had to wait for my PlayStation to be reactivated in America because they're like, "I don't know, it seems suspicious that you would be moving your primary PlayStation from Europe to America."
But it wasn't suspicious to go from America to Europe.
Yeah. And I couldn't believe it. And so no matter how many times I called or they said that they would take care of the situation, I finally was able to regain control of my account. But they didn't refund me for the pre-order of FIFA 17, the one that this guy in Europe had bought.
Yeah, I had a similar service with Sony. I eventually got my refund, but it was just the most absurd thing. They were selling DLC for a game that caught my eye. Look, I'm Asian. It was a Gundam game. But it was on the...
Is that what Sai sings about?
Yes. Gundam style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, Gundam's an actual anime. Gangnam is a red light district in Korea.
Oh.
The more you know. But, so, they were selling DLC for this game on the Vita for a game that didn't exist on the American marketplace. And I, me being, the young idiot that I was
Yeah.
like, oh, it's obviously the game. They wouldn't just sell DLC. The game's not available.
Right.
And I bought it, and I'm like, wait, I can't do anything with this.
Right.
And yeah, I had to go through probably half a dozen different channels before they finally got to the point where like, hey, like, we'll give you your, I think it was like $40 too. Like, that's why I thought it couldn't have just been DLC. It was $40.
So expensive.
Yeah, it was $40. And I was like, my gosh, like, why is this on the marketplace?
Yeah.
Like, it made no sense to me.
Yeah. I'm saving my biggest one for last because I'm like getting sweaty and angry looking at this thing on my list because I didn't want to forget any of them. Man, all of these probably happened like within a year or two of each other. It sounds like it's some pretty bad weather outside.
Seriously.
But all these things happen within like a year and a half of each other. I just had a really bad run of luck. Except for this one recently, Simon Med Imaging in Anthem, Arizona. You guys suck. So I went in there. I had hurt my thumb playing soccer. I'm a goalie, right? So in this extremely competitive rec soccer league, co-ed. So the balls come, like I make a save and there's a rebound and then somebody like chips it. Like they're not able to get a whole lot on the shot. So I'm like lying down and I'm reaching like this to block it. And I just swap my hand at it like a volleyball spike and I'm able to make the save. But on the follow through, my thumb, now you guys can't really see, just kind of gets caught. And so like the rest of my hand and arm keep going and my thumb doesn't. And I actually had like a career-ending volleyball injury on my other thumb when I went up for a block, and the guy from the fourth-ranked college in America hit it, and it caught enough of my thumb to wrap it like around the back of my hand, but not enough of it to like stop the ball where it would catch any of the palm. So my thumb was just freaking destroyed in college, and I had surgery on it, and I missed the rest of that volleyball season. It was my senior year, and volleyball is a winter sport. Yeah, ginger ale. Volleyball is a winter sport, and baseball, which I also played, was in the spring. I missed all but the last game of the baseball season, where I was still wearing a cast. Mike Vogel, if you're listening, hit a double in the last game of the season, and I was able to go out and pinch run for him. So I got into one game my senior year of baseball. Mike Vogel, I have never forgotten that, and that was about one of the nicest things anyone's ever done for me, because I went to every practice, every game. I was the loudest one in the dugout with the biggest wad of tobacco in my mouth, which I shouldn't say because that's illegal in college, but I never got in the field for anybody to notice. And I just freaking had the time of my life just being a part of that team, and I almost cried while I was standing out there on second base because Mike Vogel hit that double, and I got the pinch run in one game after working so hard to convince the doctors and coaches that I should be able to get in for the last game of my senior year. Anyways, that injury to my left hand is a lot what my right hand felt like when I did that on the soccer field. So I ended up having to go to the doctor for it because it's horribly blue and swollen. Oof. And so I was referred to Simon Med Imaging for an MRI, and I went in there and they told me that it would be no cost to me, totally covered by my insurance. And this was almost a year ago, and I am still fighting an $800 bill from them that they sent to me. I don't know where the miscommunication was. My insurance is now willing to pay $515 of it, but it's not their fault because I know that this lady in the Simon Med Imaging reception area told me that it would be $0 cost to me. And either they didn't have something set up right to like communicate with my insurance at that time, or she just told me something wrong. But you get an $800 bill in the mail for something that you were told was going to be $0. You're going to be upset about it, and I still haven't paid it. And I'm on the phone often with these people, just calling and disputing it and yada yada yada. And That's because Simon Med Imaging in Anthem, Arizona messed up. Do not go there. It was not that nice. It was like fly by night. Like they make most of their money by tricking their customers because there was like nothing in there. It was just like one room with a machine, and it didn't like look as high tech as you would think it would need to be. Like, I don't know if because my thumb to this day is still like achy and painful and I can't bend it like I should be able to, but they said nothing was wrong with it. So I don't know, man. Just Simon Med, you suck. I wish I would have looked up the Amazon seller for this next item, but I got a Samsung Gear watch, S2 or something, whatever, and I wanted to get some different bands for it. So I probably paid $50 to get like 8 different bands for it. They're like 5 or 7 a piece. And one of them came and I put it on my watch and it got stuck on my watch. Like it's so cheaply made that like the release mechanism on it doesn't work. So like to get the band off, I would potentially have to be so rough with it that I break the watch. So that's thunder. I don't know if you could hear that, but that was a loud bolt of thunder where I would potentially have to break the watch. So I contacted them on Amazon and I requested a refund for that band because I couldn't get it off the watch and wear anything else that I had paid all this money for. And they gave me the refund. Like a month later, I see on my credit card that there's a charge added back from them because I didn't send the watch band back in. The whole reason I wanted the refund was because it was stuck on my watch and rendered every other band I had useless. And they charged me later because I didn't send the band in.
Hey guys, today's show is brought to you by Chronologic.network. Chronologic is an Ethereum-based project that aims to solve time-related problems on the blockchain. Through Chronologic's 3 core products, the Ethereum alarm clock, debt smart contracts, and the day token minting mechanism, they solve the problems of payment scheduling, crypto loan time constraints, and unstable token launches. Find out more at chronologic.network.
This last thing.
Here we go.
Holy frick, dude. Have you ever heard me talk about the computer?
No. I have heard about the watch. Wasn't that the one Casey was trying to fix?
Yeah, my girlfriend, whose name I've never said before. Oh. So thanks for blowing that identity.
My bad. You can edit that out.
Coming up next episode, Brian Chai's home address. Hang on, before I get into this, I do remember I need to make a correction from last episode. I said that I do not condemn anyone who says bad things about another person based on that other person's race or skin color. What I meant was I do not condone. Okay, because what I said is I'm not going to be upset at anyone for being racist. What I meant was don't be racist. What I said was people can call whatever names they want as long as it's racially charged. That is not how I feel. I was probably just as hot as I am today and just misspoke. Those words are way too close together.
Condone and condemn?
For having opposite meanings.
Yeah.
Like, this is how you know I'm never going to work at ESPN ginger ale producers. Is that clip exists out there of me saying I don't condemn people for saying racist things. Oh man.
But all right, USPS.
Frick them, dude. They're my goodness. So I bought a really expensive computer. It was probably like $1,300 or $1,400. It was like the nicest Dell laptop that was out at the time. This was late 16? Late 15, I believe. But it had touchscreen. It was super thin, nice RAM, big hard drive. And like a week after, my company gave me a computer. And I had mostly bought this computer for work. So my brother, who was a senior in college at the time, who, as I've explained before, college students don't have a ton of money. I had just gotten this new work computer, and his cheap laptop was crapping out after 3.5 years of college. So the deal was I'm going to send him my super nice laptop to his college here from Arizona. And he could use it for a semester and then get it back to me afterwards. So I go to the post office. I mail it. While I'm mailing it, I bought the insurance on the product, and I walked out because it was like $50 or something like that because it was so expensive. And I felt like such an idiot. Like, I don't know, how often do packages really get lost or whatever, yada, yada. Like, what an idiot. I just wasted $50 or whatever it was. And,
for the record, I've learned never to think that way about insurance.
Yeah, but that's just, dude, like, insurance companies wouldn't exist if they didn't make money.
Yeah.
So, like, a majority of the time, like, they're just taking money from you, which I don't, like, and I feel like if you... I'm just so suspicious of companies and industries now, if you can't tell. Like, if I don't get rental insurance on a car, I feel like they're going to poke out the headlight once I return it and charge me 3 times what it costs. You know, whereas if you do... But anyways, I bought the insurance on this package to Rochester, New York, is where my brother was going to college. And if you don't know much about upstate or western New York, he didn't live in the best part of Rochester either, because he's trying to get by with cheap rent and everything. So the computer gets to Rochester, New York, and it gets to his apartment building. The USPS guy, and this is according to them, which I found out later, walks in. Nobody is in the apartment building's mailroom that he would usually hand all the packages to. All of the packages fit through the mail slot, except for this one package, the computer I sent, which is too big to fit through the mail slot, that has a sticker on it saying it's insured for the value that it's worth. Hey, here's a $1,000 plus package, everyone. Let's leave it in the lobby of this seedy apartment building because it won't fit through the mail slot and nobody's there.
Dang.
Nobody has ever seen that computer again that I know of. Somebody went, grabbed it, walked out with it. I am so upset. Somebody picked it up, walked out with it, and I never got a penny for it from USPS, even though I bought the insurance on it. I don't care if it costs 2 times as much. I will never ship anything through the United States Postal Service again. It'll be UPS or FedEx or DHL or whatever the frick you want to use to mail my package. I will never pay to mail something through the USPS again. And I don't care if it ends up coming out of my taxes because everybody stops mailing through them and they have to support the company somehow.
I mean, that's pretty egregious. So, like, it's not like did they offer to try to make good on anything?
Nope.
Not even
me and my brother combined. I don't want to exaggerate. Probably spent 40 hours driving to like police stations, to post offices, talking with his building, me talking with the people here. So after me and my brother realized that somebody had stolen the package, I go to my post office here in Arizona. They tell me, nope, that's the post office that last handled it in New York. He goes there. They send him back. No, that's the place he would have bought the insurance through. So I go there. It's been maybe like 3 weeks at this time. My brother's gone to the police already. And like they've said, there's nothing they can do about it because there are no cameras in the building. They'll keep an eye out for it. But what are they doing? Are they going to just start shooting somebody on a park bench with a laptop because it might be my brother's? Like, And, you know, if it was $100 or $200, like cheap, like Chromebook or something, I probably would have let it go. This thing, like
$1,300
plus.
Dang, man.
Yeah. I mean, after like tax and all the shipping we had spent on it, I probably easily had $1,400 into that computer. And so, eventually at one point, the guy at the post office, and I don't remember his name, but I do remember that he's an older gentleman. He's a little bit shorter, and he has gray hair, but is bald on top. He's got the George Costanza with gray haircut and a mustache and glasses. So if you ever go in there, you know, just freaking hit him in the face with a salmon or something, dude, because oh man. So I went in there and he told me, he said, so we don't do anything for these prior to a month of them going missing, because it could have just got shipped to Maine or Texas or Alaska or something, and then it gets rerouted to the correct destination, and it could just be an error on the truck or something like that. Yada, yada, yada. He said the longer you wait, the better the chances are you have your claim accepted, because that means it's more than likely lost or missing instead of just delayed. I ended up waiting about 3 months, and I go back and I'm then trying to get my refund at that point, and they said, no, you have to do that within 15 to 45 days or something like that. You can't get anything now. And I'm like, no, dude, I am not accepting that. You tell me what I need to do. This frickin' old confused man told me wait as long as possible. It's your guys' fault for leaving this marked as expensive package inside the lobby unattended of a low-income apartment complex. So I end up on phone with USPS for countless hours. 3 different times I had to submit essays, like pages and pages of it had to be handwritten for some reason. And I had to have like all the receipts of the value of the computer, like the receipts from mailing, you know, stuff like proving how much it's worth. I had like my eBay purchase history in there, and 3 different times I had to write these like 3-page letters just explaining the situation. They denied it every single time. I eventually got up to like as high as they would let me go at the post office, and this is months and months and months later, where I'm not exaggerating with this, like 40 hours. You can tell by how hot I am right now that is not a joke.
I've known Ryan for about 2 years, and I've almost never seen him this heated.
And so I think it was to just finally get me off their case. They told me, it's our policy that once something is dropped off, it's no longer covered by insurance. We are not refunding you. They totally dropped all the baloney that I had been trying to disprove about, like not getting it refunded in time or whatever.
No, what was the point of all the essays? It sounds like they're just trying to troll you at that point.
Yeah. They had to have been. It was one of the most frustrating things I have ever gone through in my life, and it was extremely expensive. It was not my fault, and it was one of the main reasons that I'm just so skeptical of companies. Like, honestly, what incentive does the United States Postal Service have to be a good service provider to me? Like, okay, so they've got one guy on the internet ranting about how upset he is. Like, they've been around for generations.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they were putting letters into saddlebags and riding it across America on ponies in 1812. So this one instance isn't like going, you know what I mean? Like they don't really have any incentive to help me, and they knew it, and they sold me this insurance probably knowing that they deny many of the claims anyway. And this thing was so expensive. Like,
yeah. I mean, look, we're not rich. $1,300, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of dough. I mean, to just have it like that, just gone in thin air. I mean, I can only imagine how. I mean, I'm trying to imagine if I've ever had any issues. Like, I think the worst thing ever that happened to me through USPS was my parents sent me some Asian food and they dropped it off at my neighbor's house. But I've been fortunate. I can't imagine what it must be like to just lose an expensive laptop because of incompetence and negligence on behalf of the USPS.
So yeah, this was a couple years ago that I initially mailed it. Maybe a year since I just 100% gave up on ever getting my money back. But I will never mail anything through them again. I've sent a few birthday cards, but I will never trust them again with anything expensive, because making a mistake, like, even as stupid and idiotic and as much as this should never happen, that they leave such an expensive package in the lobby of a kind of a cheaper apartment complex, if they would have refunded me, it would have been okay. They didn't. And they made me, like, they freaking led me on too.
Yeah,
about,
it's like, they made you jump through
just
hoops.
do this and you'll get it taken care of, and they never did. And
I mean, that's the mind-blowing part, is that they didn't even try to make right. Like, did they even, like, not even an offer to refund the insurance policy? I mean, what's the point of having an insurance policy if it's not going to cover every situation?
Well, I mean, like, it's the same thing with, like, Toyota when they screwed me over. Like, okay, so what am I going to do against this freaking billion-dollar
multi-billion
company? Yeah. Like, it's just my word against theirs.
And they have better lawyers.
Yeah. They have a lawyer. Their lawyer isn't me. I do not condone anyone saying anything racist. I just need to restate that, and I wish that I would have said that in minute 1 instead of minute 48.
Now they have to sit through our entire rant about various companies that have screwed us over, and now they know, though. You do not condone racism.
But have you ever had any good, like, companies just do really great jobs that you then recommend to other people? I don't know. I mean, from the experiences I've had with them, Costco seems super helpful.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I was trying to use a gift card at Costco the other day, and they told me to swipe my credit card, so I did, and because my credit card and, like, my Costco membership card are the same thing, I thought it was to just, like, make it so they could even start scanning my items. I didn't realize that it just, like, charges you as it goes through. So I couldn't use the gift cards. They just took me over to customer service. They scanned the gift cards and they just handed me cash. And on my Costco credit card, I get 4% back. So I actually saved a few dollars.
Nice.
Compared to using the credit card.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird for me because I worked there for so long, but as much as I bag on my time as an employee there, Disney does do a pretty good job, in my experience at least, of making right at the theme parks. I've filled out forms where, I've seen a kid, or, a kid comes in, or a family comes in, it's like, I bought this pen, it doesn't, it's like a $8 Mickey Mouse pen. It doesn't work. And of course they'd be pissed. You just bought an $8 pen, it doesn't work. And, there's like no hassle for them. I knew when I worked there, I could just, take the defective pen, give them a new one, send them on their way. There was no hoop to jump through. Like, there wasn't a claim, that they actually bought this pen. I feel like companies like Costco and Disney, they make so much money. Even if someone were lying about that pen, it's better just to fix it on the spot, and instead of bad customer service or whatever.
Yeah. Boy, maybe I'll just make sure to bring it up next week. I wish that I did have more good ones prepared to just talk about. Cox ended up overcharging us for like a month or two because, we had a bunch of guys living in the same house, who are all very tech heavy, like work in media and all play video games. So like, they would cap us at a terabyte, but a big game comes out that month and you get a little DLC for it and 4 or 5 people in the same house are downloading it. That's 500 gigs right there.
Yeah.
And, if we've constantly got people streaming Netflix and stuff, we went over a terabyte and they like billed us for going over a terabyte and we didn't know they were going to do that. And they didn't end up refunding us. So we switched to CenturyLink, and that's why I've got CenturyLink right now, despite my issues with them, because it's just cheaper. But even though, actually, I think Cox did maybe tell us about like a probationary period before that, or we had some warning and just still didn't keep it under. I just felt like even though we ended up paying more through that that situation, Cox, they weren't going to give us a deal, but it felt like they were being honest.
I mean, that's what you want, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're not always looking for a deal, you're looking for transparency.
Yeah, and and whereas Toyota said, "Oh, well, you got to call Finley and you talk to them," if Toyota would have just like help me with my problem instead of trying to pawn it off on this place that said they mailed it to them, or maybe said, "Oh, okay, guy who's got a loan with us for $20,000, we'll do this one favor for you and we'll get in contact with them."
I remember it's so dumb, Domino's, the pizza place.
Mm-hmm.
At least the one when I lived in LA, the Domino's near me there. I remember one time they messed up. I ordered pepperoni pizza, barbecue chicken pizza, and bread bites and some dipping cups for the bread bites.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get any dipping cups, even though they charge you like 75 cents.
Yeah. And
I got 2 pepperoni instead of my barbecue chicken, and they were also lukewarm. They weren't hot or anything.
Yeah.
So I called to complain, and the first thing I say is, I tell them, hey, there's a couple things you guys got wrong here. Number one, you guys didn't put my dipping cups in, and just that's all I need to hear. And they're like, you know what? Don't worry about it. We're just gonna not charge you for the order that you got. And I was like, all right, I'm satisfied customer. I didn't get exactly what I wanted, but you took care of it as best they could. And yeah, props to Domino's.
And honestly, I don't understand. I mean, I guess there's a limit, but I feel like you have to give people some sort of grace. That prevented you from going to Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
The next time.
Exactly.
And you spent a lot more than the $18 or whatever that order was.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Back
100%.
at Domino's. Like, I really don't understand what kind of incentive Toyota has. Like, the extra insurance extra interest I ended up paying that they wouldn't refund me for because my balance should have been $2,000 less 8 months ago, came out to like $75. I am clearly still bitter about that. Toyota Financial Services feels like they need that $75 more than they need a lifelong customer who's going to be buying $20,000 car after $20,000 car.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
It's absolutely baffling, and I really do try to tell people when things like your Domino story happens to me, so that they get the credit they deserve, because unfortunately that's the exception rather than the norm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, one of the few life lessons I learned when I used to work at GameStop, my manager told me, you always have the power to help the customer. And that always stuck with me. You know, when I was at Disney, obviously that's all about customer service. And you know, I had many complaints about my time at GameStop. My manager was not one of them. And I just feel like that should be the motto of so many more companies. You always have the power to help the customer, and think about whether or not you're going to retain them versus, you know, you're never going to buy a Toyota again.
Yeah.
I'll probably never buy a Ford again, you know, just stuff like that.
Yeah. So what did you not like about working at GameStop? And I do also want to hear about what did they do to give you the power to help a customer? Like one thing that just makes me furious is when people in customer service say that they don't have the authority or like the clearance to like give you a refund. Like
I mean, that's usually nonsense. I mean, if you're on the floor, if you're behind a cash register, you should be able to give a refund unless like it's just a terrible company or it's your first day. Like obviously, something like that.
Well, that's what happened when I was on the phone with Sony. Most of the time, is this person is saying that they don't have the authority to. Apparently, it's like a huge thing to switch somebody's PlayStation because you could. Their theory is you could be not paying for a lot of games by just switching the PlayStations around and then playing all of the games from the primary account on that PlayStation.
Yeah.
So they are super strict about that, but like with giving the refunds and setting my primary PlayStation back to the correct one, they kept telling me, the person that I called in customer service, that like she doesn't have the authority to do that. Her manager isn't there, or here's a phone number you need to call to the level of clearance above me. And then I could never get through to that person or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like, I don't know if you were a manager at Disney or, did they just let anybody who worked there do that or?
No, I mean, you do have to go to like a lead or above the lead, a manager. But I mean, a lead there's a lot of them. I mean, but yeah, they give you the power. I mean, and it's not always like someone wants something,
So what did GameStop do to give you the power to help the customer?
Just don't automatically. They taught me don't automatically assume that the customer's lying, even if it seems that way. I remember one case, like dude bought a game, came back, complained about there was a scratch on the disc, and I was convinced he did it himself.
Yeah.
But my manager was like, dude, don't worry about it, and he just swapped out the copy for him, and then he threw the scratch disc in the there's a bin in the back of GameStops of like defective products that all get sent to their warehouse in Texas. So you just toss it in there, and that was that.
So are there people in Texas like going through these products, seeing if ones work?
Yeah.
So then, what's your complaint about GameStop? Would it just be like the constant upselling?
Yeah, I hated upselling people. Like, I mean, a mom comes in to buy like a $50 game card. It reflects poor. I mean, I had a great manager. He kind of got it. The general manager, like his boss, was the biggest douchebag. I remember he got on my case because a mom came in, wanted to buy a $50 gift card for like her son's friend's birthday or something like that. I was like, okay, she's not going to be interested in pre-ordering Soul Calibur 4, okay? Like, there's no point in me asking her.
Yeah.
And he got on my case about it. I'm like, dude, like, she's not going to buy. She's not going to pre-order.
Yeah.
Like, she even told me, like, she lives, like, in a different city. She just happened to be in this one mall shopping. And I was like, oh, I can take care of this while I'm here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, like, why upsell when I know it's not happening?
Yeah.
Just stuff like, yeah, I hated. And, the other thing, like, it was rough when I first started. Once I got a little better with the upselling, it wasn't a big a deal. But at least when I was there, GameStop absolutely doles out hours, to their hourly employees based on how well they can get, subscriptions to the magazine, pre-orders, stuff like that. And I just thought that was, I didn't like. I don't like the idea of incentivizing upselling like that.
Yeah,
like if you get a bonus because you upsell the most, cool. But like to actually affect your ability to work, I didn't like that at all.
Yeah. Like so what kind? what percentage of and what kind of person just like naively agrees to pay more. I mean,
yeah.
One of the only times that I've ever done it, paid significantly more like at the register, was when I got my car from Findlay Toyota in Flagstaff, because the guy told me it was 100% refundable, which it didn't end up being. But like, what's the percentage of people that are like, oh, okay, I will pre-order this game for $65, even though it's going to be $40 on PlayStation Store a month after. Although you probably worked before, like, digital games are going way down. There are more sales than ever on digital games.
Yeah, digital games are going way up.
Like, the pre-ordering is because after stuff comes out, it's so much cheaper.
Yeah.
Like, I bought FIFA 18 and NBA Live 18 on Xbox One for a combined $20. It's 6 months after they were both released. But I feel like in the past, maybe if we're in 2013, that FIFA 14 stays 50 or 60 closer till the next one comes out.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're dropping, and there are more sales, maybe not permanently dropping, but there are more sales on games more often these days.
Oh, yeah, I misunderstood. Yes, absolutely.
Well, the pre-order prices are absolutely going up because you've got to pay $120 to use Ronda Rousey in WWE, even though she's like their main attraction now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's...
Who's falling for your upsell?
I was fortunate. The GameStop I was working in was in a very affluent neighborhood.
Okay.
It was it was in Beverly Hills, so very affluent neighborhood. And it's easy. It was easier there because you could sell collector's edition. Like, people want the tangible physical thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, just as we do move towards a more digital age, GameStop is struggling. Like, by any metric, GameStops are struggling, and it's not a surprise. Like, people realize, hey, I don't need to put $5 down in advance to guarantee my sale. Like, that may have been a problem back. I remember when I was a kid, I had to go to like 3 game stores to track down, WWF No Mercy for the N64. That's just not a problem today, like, at all.
Yeah.
And I haven't worked at GameStop in years and years. I don't know how they are surviving. Like, it is. I mean, obviously they've moved into toys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but again, toys are almost an extension of collectors, like, physical, tangible things that, hey, I don't know, Batman, the new Batman game. If I pre-order, I get like a little thing, a trinket with it. That's why I'll do it. But yeah, man, like, just by and large, it's an increasingly digital market. And, especially if you consider, like, GameStop never really dealt with PC games, like PC.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's where there's tons of gamers there. But yeah, I don't know how GameStop's doing it, how they're still around. I know they've got to be hurting significantly.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine. Unless, I mean, I know there's some times where I've just felt like I've had a little extra money and I foolishly don't put it into my savings account. But, I maybe the last time I bought games in GameStop, I bought Captain Toad Treasure Tracker and NES Remix Combo for Wii U. Was like the last time I went into GameStop and just got like new release games, because I was at a Chick-fil-A near the GameStop and I had been sent some money from someone or something. I was just starting working where I do now, and I was an intern, so maybe like my grandma sent me some money to help me out or something when I first moved here. And I'm like, I got a bunch of cash and I'm going to foolishly spend it because I'm 22 and that's what I need to do.
Yeah.
And I went in there and just paid full price for 2 games that were probably on sale 3 weeks later.
Well, Nintendo games typically don't go. I learned that at GameStop.
Yeah.
First party Nintendo games pretty much stay at their price point. Yeah, I think the last time I went to a GameStop was, again, it was kind of like you. It was kind of impulsive. I was in outlet mall, and there was a GameStop there, so I wandered in, and I think I found Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which are pretty rare Nintendo DS cartridges.
Which I asked him if I could borrow one of recently, and he said no because he got rid of them, so I'm interested to see where this goes.
Well, I'm saying I bought them there.
Okay.
Because I found them. I did eventually get rid of them because I'm an idiot, and I didn't, if I'd held on to them, I could probably actually sell them for quite a bit of money because those are still pretty rare cartridges.
Yeah, my brother's got Heart Gold with the Poké Walker.
Wow.
He says this at our childhood home in New York, though. He currently lives in Arizona with me. But he says it's in New York, so I can't get my hands on it.
Great game.
I've been thinking about just buying bootleg copies of it because it's so expensive, and I know Nintendo's not getting any of the money. So I don't know. I mean, if somebody wants to put the effort in to get it onto like an SD cart and put it in a DS cartridge or whatever, I'm just worried about the experience. You know what I mean? I don't want anything that's any different from the original game, and I don't know if I could guarantee that with a knockoff.
Yeah, with the DS, it's a little harder because of those touchscreen. Like my understanding is those ROMs are a lot harder to put together because there's two screens and one of them is a touchscreen. Right. Yeah, I remember I had, this dates me a little bit, but I remember the Game Boy Advance was still a pretty big deal when I was in high school, and they came out with. Well, Nintendo didn't come out with it, but my buddy, I don't know how he found it, but you can get like flash carts. So it looks like a normal Game Boy Advance cartridge, but you can load up ROMs on it. And that was, that was a one-to-one experience. That was great.
Any lag in the controls at all?
No issues at all. The one issue I had, I think it was a faulty ROM, not the cartridge itself. There was one game, I can't remember what it was, but it kept eating my save files for this one particular ROM.
Yeah.
So one game was no good, but everything else was just perfect.
I ordered Donkey Kong Land 2 and 3 off of Amazon or eBay recently, and the batteries are just dead in them. And, it's probably cost more to replace the battery than they're worth, but I feel like people should have to note that in the description, unless they just truly didn't know, but they didn't seem too eager to just jump up and give me a refund. With the lag though, I'm even a little suspicious. I don't know if you had this problem with the NES or SNES Classic, that they're frame or two behind in responsiveness.
Do you think that's because it's playing like that era of games on like a HD TV?
Maybe, but it comes with an HDMI cord, so it's like, the game and the TV are operating on the same set of standards. It's not like we're trying to do
I mean, that's rough, man. Even like a millisecond of input lag on a game like Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, and I only notice it because I'm not good at many things, but left to right side-scrolling Super Mario World, Super Mario Brothers stuff is like one of the... I honestly can say I do not know one person that is even close to as good at me at those. I smoked you, dude.
In what?
Super Mario Brothers 3.
You didn't smoke.
You had to give me the paddle to get through a level for you.
No, you're making this up.
You are way better at Chrono Trigger.
That's not something you're better at. This is a time investment.
Well, okay.
All right, one of these days we're gonna set up a Mario Brothers 3 run, a race between you and me, and we'll settle this once and for all.
Super Mario World, I would like wager my home on that you're not beating me, but it's just because I put so much time into those. I am not casual, like in terms of Mario. Like I know just about every level on every side-scrolling Mario game, and I could give you the world map layout for every single, and probably the names of each level on Super Mario World. And it's just something I really enjoy and I've invested a lot of time in, and it's not necessarily a skill thing. It's just that I put that much time into it, and I'm not good at many other things, so I decided to try to be good at that. But just I think as a result, I'm way more sensitive to the average person. They're too lag than the average person. But Bryan Chai, number 1 Super Mario Brothers 3 player in the world.
Not even close.
At least in Korea. Do they like Mario there?
I don't know. Probably. I know they like StarCraft.
In Hawaii, they love Mario?
Sure. I don't know. You associate South Korea with like StarCraft or maybe Overwatch, but I don't think you really associate Hawaii with anything. Like video game wise.
Well, is the video game landscape exactly the same as the continental U.S.?
Yeah, sure.
You've heard it here
they
first.
They probably play
Fortnite. Episode... Boys, 6, 7, 8. I know we have one lost episode, so if it's 8, that sounds right. Maybe this is episode 7 because we've got a lost.
I believe it's an even number.
Including the lost one, though.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. Is this... It's debatable. Anyways, we're wrapping up. This is Ryan Tofil. That's Bryan Chai. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we hope you enjoyed the show. We'll talk to you, I want to say next week, but who knows when this is going to get uploaded. That's sometimes out of my control. So text, tweet, or email at you, me, and BTC if you really want this Unpopular Opinions podcast up. We know that's what you come here for. You know, you came for Bitcoin, you stayed for Bryan Chai.
See ya.
I'll talk to you later.